Sharia law.
What's up, Patriots? Well, there you go. There you go. You got the communication skills of a libtard right there. See how broke up she is? I mean, that is some world-class drama right there. Hello, Dixie. Hello, Barbara. Trusty Mod. Good to see you there. Another big week, unending events going on in the Maga world here. Unending events in libtard world too, and it's like dueling. They're competing with each other to dominate the airwaves, I believe, man. So let's get right into like the last week of events here that has happened, and try to figure out what's going on, man. Hello, Priscilla. I love you, Patriots. This is great. So last week started off with Veterans Day. There were many great events, and Trump was out at Arlington Cemetery with Vice President Vance. And we also had Jamie Crow. She went out and visited Bart Shively's tombstone, man, which I thought was a really cool thing to do here. She invited me to go up there with her, but I couldn't make it up there. God bless you, Jamie, for driving all the way out there and paying some respects to Bart Shively and all the other veterans that have given their lives to protect this great country. Keep it free, man. Hey, Jerry. Good to see you, Jerry. Jamie did a thing where you put a quarter on the top of the tombstone or a penny or something. I wasn't quite sure what they were doing there, but there is a thing that the families of the veterans do to show respect and try to raise a little bit of money for veterans who are having troubles right now. And imagine going and fighting for your country and the disturbing things that you have to go through in order to make sure guaranteed freedom happens here in this country. I think we all owe a lot of respect to all of our veterans, man. So that's how the week started out there. There's just been a whole bunch of like small. The news is just going crazy. All right, a long time ago, we were talking about how the things were happening like birth pangs. The scriptures speak about birth pangs in the end times in the book of Revelations. And way back at Freedom Corps, even before that, at People's Convoy, it seemed like there would be a big thing, and then a week would go by, and then another week, another thing would go up, and then 2 weeks would go by. And now it's like 3 things a day comes up where it's just like groundbreaking news, So I just think that the birth pangs are happening. I mean, things are happening at an accelerated rate here in this country right now. And one of the things that hit me was I heard people talking about how the CIA has created these color revolutions in countries throughout the world. Apparently, the CIA has been involved with over 90 countries, over the overthrow of governments in over 90 countries over the past 60 years, since they were created in 1949, the year after Israel was created. They did the same thing in Ukraine in 2014. And there is an actual mathematical equation to how you present and accomplish a color revolution in a country. And that is where you take a minority of the population of a country and you turn it against that country and you steamroll in a new government into that country. You overthrow the sitting government and install your proxy, your puppet that you want installed there. And one of the equations of a color revolution is that you got to get 3.5% of the people. That's it. That's all it takes. But you have to activate 3.5% of the people in a country in order to have a chance at successfully pulling off a color revolution. So here in America, there's 340 million people here, right? So 3% of a million, 3.3%. I'm thinking you need like pretty much like 3.5 million people at least to pull off a color. Well, actually, you would have to need like 10 million people to pull it off. 10 million activated Americans endorsing your color revolution, right? And right now we got this retarded mainstream media that just won't go away, okay? They used to be wonderful for us back before, during World War II and up until Vietnam and stuff. They showed us all the bad things about Vietnam. They were honest back then. But right now, the mainstream media is not honest at all with us. And I'm starting to think that the 3.5% of the people that they need to institute this color revolution here in America, and they're trying this, Patriots, I'll talk about that in a minute, are all the TV watchers. It's all the people that watch TV. There's your 3.5%. And I'm really getting tired of watching right wing or whatever you want to call it, MAGA people doing their podcasts, and all they do is replay clips from Fox News, from CNN, just because CNN will say something marginally beneficial to MAGA, they'll put these clips in their podcasts. And I'm done with it. I just fast forward all that stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that I've been watching over the last couple of years are doing it now. And it's just, I don't know when that's going to end or what. But the TV watchers is who these people are. The ones that are out protesting in D.C. Last weekend. They were going to surround the White House. And, it's comical. And these protests at the ICE detention facilities are nothing burgers, man. They're nothing. They're dressing up in costumes. They're actually making a mockery of themselves protesting. And it's just something to watch, Patriots. It's, I don't know what to make of it. I've never seen anything like it in my life. I'm just trying to digest what's happening, trying to stay focused, because there is a lot of chatter and chaff that wants to break up MAGA, wants to confuse people, and a lot of it just causes people to totally unplug and go turn on a football game. And that's a shame. That is really a shame. I can't wait until Trump starts suing these media companies and, putting them out of business, man. I mean, he's going to decimate the BBC with this lawsuit that he's got going on with the doctored J6 speech that Trump gave, And this was what the BBC aired on January 6th, what Trump said, and January 7th. And I swear the same thing that the BBC aired was a mix-up of what was in Trump's speech. And they made it sound like, let's go down to the Capitol and we're going to fight like hell, okay? Which were two separate comments that were an hour apart almost in Trump's speech. And I swear every TV station here in America played that same exact clip. Only they're all duck and cover right now because Trump's got the BBC in his focus right now. And he's accusing them like, you played that on, you took my words, you purposely edited them down to make that seem like I was saying something that I wasn't. And he's going to put the screws to the BBC. So once he finally brought it up, okay, Trump said, either you apologize or I'm going to sue you, in his normal way of trolling on his internet, on his True Social accounts. And almost immediately, the head guy at BBC, his name is Tim Davie, resigned. Okay, so then I'm thinking, all right, that's all we're going to hear about it. But no, it turns out I think Trump is going to actually sue the BBC, and he's throwing numbers out there like, I'm going to sue you for $1 billion. I'm going to sue you for $5 billion. And in the meantime, I'm thinking, well, CBS played that same clip. NBC played that clip. PBS played that clip. We all remember them playing that clip, you know. And then they played a week long of Brian Sicknick phony funeral. And from there, it just went on and on and on. Then they started showing Jake Chansley, standing in the House of Representatives room and growling victory. It was a total psyop, man. It was a multi-billion-dollar psyop that the media was in collusion with that. So I can't wait to just see Trump steamroll the mainstream media. He's already sued 60 Minutes. He's already sued Stephanopoulos, and he's got 10 million here, 20 million there. He's gotten some free TV time from CBS. So there's a strategy going on with that, and it just isn't going to happen tomorrow. This is a war that Trump is waging against mainstream media. And it might be why he continues to cater to them, why he continues to invite them into the press conferences that he has. I know when I'm in a chat watching a press news conference, everybody in the chat's going, don't even let them in the room. I hate the questions that person asks, And I think, we voted for a master. We voted for a guy who knows way more about this stuff than we do. Trump was highly educated in how to be on television presence and central casting and all that. He has analyzed, dissected, and mastered mainstream media, and he knows what he's doing. So I'm really happy with my vote for Trump 3 times. And I think he's rolling right along with the plan, just like he knew was going to happen. He knew it was going to take a while. Before you go build a house, it ain't going to be up by the weekend. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of orchestration. It takes a lot of hard labor to actually get the work done till you finally got the final product. And the final product here has got to be a victory. It's got to be Congress codifying the executive orders of Trump and winning the 2028 election. That is got to be essential. Because if that doesn't happen, we're all in jail, basically, for chatting on YouTube, for texting people, for websites that we've looked up on political matters. They're going to come after us gangbusters. They had Joe Biden and Christopher Wray FBI had 5,000 FBI agents stationed on finding J6ers and arresting them. I mean, that they're going to come after us, double that at least if we lose that 2028 election. And if Congress does not codify things like the Voter Act with the voter ID, all the executive orders, all the progress that MAGA has made is only executive orders at this point until Congress codifies that into law and makes it the law of the land. Then the Democrats can't just walk in and change it all with more executive orders with their guy in power. So Congress has got to get busy, man. Congress has got to get busy. I just saw another day today just went by. The government's back open. And I was thinking, the Republicans just had 40 days to get something ready to roll as soon as the government opens back up. But it's looking like they didn't. They got nothing done today that I could tell. And I was kind of poking around, seeing what did they do today? I don't know. They're all just bad-mouthing Marjorie Taylor Greene. Massey's still talking about names on the Epstein list and hasn't given us any name. The whole Epstein thing is just crazy too. So I think Trump's going to master it, man. And we are lucky to have a country like this that we can do this in, but we gotta get serious. The one thing we can get serious with, and the one thing that Congress can do tomorrow by noontime, is impeach Judge Boasberg. There's enough evidence out there now in all the corruption that he has been involved with, from the J6ers to this Arctic Frost subpoenas with the Jack Smith prosecution of Trump. There is plenty of evidence to just impeach Judge Boasberg. So if you haven't called your senator or your Congress people, call them all and tell them to impeach Judge Boasberg. Because other than making these phone calls, there's really nothing to do right now for us patriots. And I don't know if you got any bright ideas of what we could be doing right now. We're just basically watching our team out on the field right now that we elected in there. And our team is producing a lot of results right now. Maga is kicking it, but it's only the cabinet that's getting anything done, all right? The Congress is just all tied up in themselves. They're not accomplishing anything. They just wasted 40 days with a shutdown that should have been ended if they really passed a real budget. This never would have happened. And it's bound to happen again come January, when this continuing resolution that reopened the government comes to an end, and they actually do have to pass a budget again. So it's just crazy. It is just crazy. Hello, Carol Burton. How are you? Hello, Nova. Good to see you. And Belinda Eckhart. Metal is joy. How are you doing? Ann. Hello, Ann. It's good to see you all. So yeah, Veterans Day was really cool. It was laid back. We all paid respects. Trump paid respects. God bless our veterans. There is definitely, I hold the veterans in high esteem, even though they had the best of intentions in protecting this country, even though this country has sent them to Vietnam, even though all these bogus wars have happened under the banner of our flag. Those days are ending. And the tariffs thing, Trump is finally wielding the economic power of America instead of our military power, and quelling unrest, quelling wars all across the world just with the power of the American economy. And anybody who's against the use of that power like that is a warmonger, basically. They just want to go shoot people over in a war somewhere. Right on. We got many patriots in the chat. That's right. And we're all out there, Metal is Joy. I see you all out there in the chats all over the place, man. And we just had the Convoy of Honor down in Branson, Missouri. That was really cool to see. Stormtrooper was back streaming. Sherry, Chef Our Patriot, was streaming. Mona Moment, Soup Mama was down there. I even saw like small water guy walking around in the background there. That was really cool to see that. They did a really good honoring of the veterans over there. And it was just good to see patriots having a place to come hang out, be patriotic, you know. So something else that happened about a week ago was Trump issued 77 more pardons to his lawyers, his consultants, and all the other people that were involved with defending Trump in the alternate electors scheme down in Georgia from 2020. Basically, anybody who tried to help Trump out down in Georgia was arrested, prosecuted. A couple of them took plea deals. And I think a lot of the prosecutions were ongoing still with that, but Trump issued 77 pardons. The heavy hitters of that list was Rudy Giuliani. They tried to arrest Rudy Giuliani. They sued him for claiming, I don't even know. I can't keep up with all the little details of all this. But apparently Rudy Giuliani owed these two election workers down in Georgia, shady election workers, that they owed him $85 million for something. You know, like this is the farce that the civil courts have become. His attorney, Sidney Powell, was on that list. Mark Meadows, his advisor, was on that list. John Easton, Boris Epstein, and 72 others were caught up in a dragnet. Anybody who helped Trump down in Georgia was attacked legally. Warfare, full-on warfare. Cost all of them millions and millions of dollars to try to defend themselves. The whole thing was rigged, and they all got prosecuted. Trump issued pardons to those folks down in that fight down there, and I think that's exactly what he should have done. So, yeah, you might be thinking that took almost a year for Trump to get to that, but he got to it. All right, he did it. We're in it for the long haul, man. We've been saying it's a marathon, not a sprint, for 5 years now, right? I did hear of two other pardons also that Trump issued. One was for Dan Wilson, this J6er that was, he was pardoned for his involvement in J6, but when they raided his house for that prosecution, they found some guns in his house that they claimed were his, and for some reason he wasn't allowed to own guns. You know, how we can have a Second Amendment that says the government shall not infringe upon the rights for the citizens to keep and bear arms. I don't know how you can be a free man in this country and not be able to own guns. But that is the situation. There are millions, tens of millions of people who cannot own guns in this country. And they're free people. They did a crime. They served their time. They got out. And now they go, well, you can get out, but you can't own guns anymore. And it's a farce, man. It is a complete farce. And it's another thing that needs to be addressed in the future. That ain't the hill right now that we're fighting on. But in the future, this is one of the things that needs to be addressed, man. How can you be a free man in America and have to go buy a license to own a gun? How do you know, we're allowed to own guns. That's what the Second Amendment says, and that the government shall not infringe on that right. So we got to deal with that too. And there was also another gal, J6er, I can't remember what her name was, who made some threats before she was arrested. She did some social media posts where she said something like, I'm just going to remind you FBI people, if you come after me, I'm a Second Amendment American, all right? And out of that, somehow they blew that up into a terroristic threat, and she was arrested for J6. I don't know how that all panned out, but apparently she got a pardon now to get her out of that quagmire, that legal warfare quagmire that she was in, that the FJB administration put her into with Merrick Garland and Christopher Wray's FJB's administration there. So that's all win. 77 wins down in Georgia, 2 wins for the J6ers, and nothing on the mainstream media color revolution channels, you know, basically. Another big issue with this government shutdown as to why they wouldn't open the government up was the Democrats saying the Republicans are shutting the government down, when it was the Democrats that weren't voting to continuing resolution to keep the government open. But the conversation about Obamacare came to the forefront in that whole skirmish, and which is good. We need to talk about the failure, the utter failure of the America Care Act, the ACA, which is Obamacare. The Affordable Care Act is what it's called, right? When it was coming out, when Obama was trying to bring it out, we were all saying this ain't going to work. It doesn't work. It's a sham. You're adding another middleman into a system that already costs too much. But they did it anyways. And then it came to the point where in order to keep the Affordable Care Act afloat, the government had to start subsidizing it now. So now you got the people paying the premiums. The premiums, their health insurance premiums went up, like up to 400%. Then the government had to start giving subsidies to people so that they could afford the Affordable Care Act. And then the Democrats wanted to keep the government shut down and were trying to strong arm the Republicans into funding another $1.5 trillion into the Affordable Care Act, which was providing health care insurance to illegal aliens. I mean, it just gets weirder and weirder and weirder the further it goes on. So at least that conversation came to the forefront, that we're all talking about the Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. And one tidbit of information that I didn't know was that Obama himself was collecting a $2.5 million royalty from Obamacare every year since 2010. So I think just because his name was on it, they were using his name for it. So Obama was making $2.5 million a year doing nothing since 2010 off the American Affordable Care Act. And I mean, I suppose he got his check this year, and January's coming up. He's going to get a check next year. So is Congress going to come in and do anything about that? Because that's who has to do it, And I'm not seeing it, Patriots. I'm not getting signs of life at all from our Congress. And it sucks. It sucks. So while this whole government shutdown was going on, there were people that were literally working without a paycheck on the faith, the belief that when the government does open, they were going to get their back pay and all that stuff. But there was a lot of people who didn't go into their jobs, that worked at the TSA, that worked in the air traffic controllers, that worked in the military and all kinds of federal employees that we need to operate as a safe country here. They didn't go to work. They sat at home and said, well, the government's shut down. I'm not getting a paycheck. I'm not going in. You can't fire me if you don't pay me. And they sat on their asses the whole time while other good Americans went to keep the air safe for flights and to make sure there weren't any people bringing guns onto airplanes and stuff. And So they passed the government could open now, and then I saw Chrissy Nome come out and say that we're going to give all the traffic control people a $10,000 bonus. Or no, I think Trump said that actually. Everybody who came to work religiously is not only going to get back pay, but they're going to get a $10,000 bonus. And I thought, all right, that's okay. It's a lot of money. It's our money he's giving away there. And then Chrissy Nome came out and said that all the TSA agents that worked throughout the government shutdown are also going to get a $10,000 bonus. So I don't know if that came to fruition yet, if it's all just talk or not. But thanks for coming to work when, the Democrats shut your whole government down. We need these people in place in order for this country to continue to thrive and function. In order to get on an airplane and be able to fly safely somewhere, we need people in air traffic control towers to make sure the planes don't run into each other. So I guess that's what their reward will be. And that's a good reward, that's a hefty reward there. Let's see, like last Wednesday, so not even a half a week ago, there was a TPUSA event at Berkeley University in Colorado, and Antifa, or whoever it is, I don't know who Antifa is really, but a bunch of weirdos came out and tried to threaten the people that were going into that event to hear, I think it was Rob Schneider and another speaker that was giving a TP USA presentation. And they were threatening people. They were throwing water at them. They were doing smoke bombs. They were doing car backfires that sounded like gunshots. The cops were just standing there. The cops were not dividing these people off very well. The event was sold out. And because of all the threats that these people put on the people, it ended up that like 500 people, it was like a sold out crowd of 2,000. 500 people didn't show up for that, but somehow or another, it looked like all the seats were full in there. So people showed up anyways, but certain people didn't because they were scared, you know? And it just so happens to, you know, it just so happens that the Capitol police officer from January 6th is now the police chief of the cops in Berkeley, California. Yogananda Pittman is the police chief in Berkeley, California. So it's just a crazy, crazy little web all over the country here, you know. People actively trying to harm, threaten, terrorize, bring down this country. It's amazing, and Yogananda Pittman's one of them, man. But apparently, our constitutional rights defender in the DOJ, Harmeet Dillon, is on it. So she made statements that they're looking into what happened down in Berkeley. There were flyers that were out ahead of that event, posted out there, that were calling for people to come out and protest against the people showing up for that event. So there was money behind it. There was organization behind it. There was, I don't know, several hundred counter protesters there. It was a threatening scene. And in the olden days, you know what would happen would be the Oath Keepers would show up, or the Proud Boys would show up and keep order, you know. But now that they've been terrorized into paralysis, now it's all just left up to the police, and all the police work for Yogananda Pittman. So you can see how this is going to get worse before it gets better. I say bring back the Proud Boys to events like that. Let them come in there and keep peace, man, because they were good at it. They were very good at it. They kept people from getting hurt. They repelled attacks, physical attacks on people. They made sure that people got into the event and out of the event, back to their cars, because that's where they attack you. While you're walking out to your car after an event, they'll like hang out in parking garages looking for people wearing Trump hats and stuff. I mean, I've seen it 100 times, over and over. Harmeet Dillon, one of my heroes, man. She gave an interview with Catherine Herridge, the ex-CBS reporter who had to defect from CBS because it was so unbearable. She's out on her own, just like Tucker Carlson. She's an independent now. And she gave an excellent interview podcast with the civil rights attorney of the DOJ, Harmeet Dillon. And Harmeet is doing an incredible job. I really had no idea who she was before this. But every time I hear her speak, that is one intelligent human being right there. I don't care if she's a woman or not. She is smart. She is diligent. And that's what we're seeing on this Trump team, man. There are a lot of superstar gals out there that are just kicking butt. I hear people going, women shouldn't have that job, you know, and I never really believed that, but you know, you got to be tough you got to have a thick skin for a lot of these jobs. But man, there is some superstar women on the Trump team, and Harmeet Dillon is one of them. Pam Bondi is another one. Tulsi Gabbard's another one. Kristi Noem, another one. I mean, these women are high quality patriots right there. So if you get a chance and you want to get to know who Harmeet Dillon is, check out that Catherine Harridge interview. It was very good. It was really good. Let me just run through chat. Cinnabee, Enrique was at the protest for ICE facility in Portland this weekend. Yeah, I did see a little bit of that. I have not been watching that stuff because it's mind-numbing for me, but I did tune into it that night, and this dude walks by. I'm like, that's Enrique Tarrio, and sure enough, he was there. The podcaster, the live streamer I was watching didn't get any like one-on-one interviews, but I think there is a couple of videos out of Enrique at the Portland facility. And it was good to see him out there. Another famous J6er who's out there is Pam Hemphill. They're calling her Aunt Pam Tifa because she's standing with the blow-up dolls out there. She's standing with the anti-ICE people. Pam Hemphill was they were calling her the praying grandma, I think, for a while. She was a J6er. She got arrested, but then she turned rabid. She turned on Trump. After it was all done and said, she became a candidate for Trump derangement syndrome, man. She is off her rocker. I saw Cash Kelly try to have a dialogue with her. And there's just nothing there, man. You cannot talk to these people. They're dead set in their ways. They can keep trying. And that's why I can't watch the Portland stuff. They're trying to talk to these people. They're trying to have dialogue. MAGA people, patriots, are showing up in greater numbers at these protests. Some days, not every day, but sometimes there is more patriots there than there are counter-protesters. And they're just standing around arguing about stuff, and it just goes round and round and round and never gets anywhere. These people just deflect. They change the subject. They just call names. They fat shame people. They make fun of their body. They just turn into personal attacks. You cannot get through to these people. And I think that's the worst of them that are showing up to these protests. But out in the real world, I'm making some headway with some people. So that's why I've been kind of skipping the protests out there. I really don't think it is, I don't know what's going on out there. What are they really protesting? They're not blocking the gates anymore because they know they're going to get arrested. And they're just all kind of hanging out in front of the gate. And, uh-oh, my battery's low. All right, hold on, folks. I got to get a cable. I forgot to plug my screen in. But those protests, they're still going on. They will continue to go on, I think. All right, there, we're back in business. All good now. Hello, Charlene. How's it going? Hey, Sean. Sean is here out in Chicagoland. Didn't get the notification. All right. Thank you, mods, for stepping up and covering for YouTube there, man. Oh, Cash Kelly. Priscilla's reporting. Cash Kelly did drive an 18-wheeler today. He was so happy. I love what Cash Kelly's doing. I don't agree with him all the time, but man, he gets a good conversation going. He's trying to rebuild his social media presence that he had before he got arrested at J6. He had quite a living. He had a living going on being on social media that was totally demolished when the J6 prosecution happened to him there. So he's trying to get he got a CDL, right, Priscilla? And now he's got a job, man. This is great. That's great. I hope he continues to succeed at his, his video endeavors there, man. He's really good at it. He's really good at podcasting. He's good at bringing in guests. He's good at just making videos and films and stuff with cool family, patriot-oriented topics and things like that, man. Okay, there is and like I said earlier, MAGA, they're just trying to split MAGA up by any which way. So there's a new MAGA person for MAGA people to hate like every 3 days now, all right? And then, so it was Pam Bondi like a couple months ago. Then it was Kash Patel. Then it was Dan Bongino. Then, they just try to bring up stuff to make MAGA fight amongst themselves. And last week or 2 weeks ago, it was Tucker Carlson, because Tucker, the journalist, actually talked to somebody. His name was Nick Fuentes, who I have no idea who he is, but I was like, hey, Tucker's interviewing this Nick Fuentes guy. I'm going to watch it, right? So just get to know who Nick Fuentes is. But all these social media people were like, Tucker's a Nazi now because he interviewed a Nazi. And it's ridiculous when you listen to what they're actually saying. But these are like MAGA people, man, and I'm shocked. Like Officer Tatum, and Candace. We're all supposed to hate Candace now. Well, she helped get Trump elected. I'm not going to hate on her because she's doing these people with the big social media things like Tatum and Candace, right? They get sponsors. And they have to come up with a show every day, whether they got information or not, in order to talk between their commercials, basically, all right? Because they're making money off the advertisers on their channel and the YouTube thing. So if they don't put a video out today, they're not going to make money off any YouTube commercials or their sponsors' commercials, right? So they got to talk for something for 20 minutes in between the commercials. And I think a lot of social media people like Candace, she's got to get up and talk about something every day or her people are going to leave, so, or maybe they might stop watching her. And I'm kind of seeing that it's the love of money is the root of all middle evil, man. I'm glad I don't got any sponsors, man. I'm not monetized. You guys get to watch this all commercial free. There's no commercials interrupting this for you. I don't have to come in and tell you about a product that whether I believe in it or not, because I could just come on and talk whenever I'm ready, when I got something to say. But Candace Owens and Officer Tatum and the Hodge twins, they all got to come on and talk about something today because that's their gig. And some days there's just no real input that they have to the conversation, and it gets confusing. So my solution to that is I don't watch Candace Owens. I didn't like what she was talking about with TPUSA. I'm going to wait for the trial to come out and see what the facts are when that happens. And that takes time. That takes a couple of months till that's going on now. Exactly, Carol Burton. Tucker can interview anyone he wants. He's a freaking journalist. That's his job. So now, people are going to, dictate who Tucker Carlson could interview now. He interviewed Putin, so he's not a communist now because he interviewed the president of Russia. And you see how ridiculous that argument is now? And I don't know. I hope I put it into perspective there. They got to talk about something between the commercials or they don't make any money today. And they're addicted to that money. They got to have that money coming in. They're making lots of money. And they got to go have their hair done every day. And they got to have the makeup done. And they got to have their teeth cleaned. And they got to have clothes on that looks really good. So they got a stylist. And they got a lot of money to put those things together. So one way of knowing that I use to determine who I'm watching is that they should not be perfect in some way. Because if they're perfect in every way, that means they're making too much money. They got sponsors coming in. And if they don't profess Jesus Christ. But a lot of these people are professing to be believers in Christ. And now they're addicted to the money from their social media presence and stuff. The latest one is the Marjorie Taylor Greene blow up here, right? And I don't know what's going on here. But Trump has come out with 6 or 7 tweets against Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I don't know what's going on. I can't take Trump serious on this one because I kind of watched it all happen with Elon, And I saw the mileage that Trump got out of it on the news, So I believe that there is, in Trump's mastermind of staying on the tip of everyone's brain every night, every day, in the mainstream media, is he does a little trolling. Yeah, Charlene, that's true. Some streamers get pissed when the other one's doing a stream and stuff. Yeah. I hope I'm not stuck. I tried to honor that myself. But yeah, the MTG thing. And Trump he's calling her Marjorie Trader Green in Truth Social posts. And really, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the only Congress people that I see doing anything. She is putting forth the release of the Epstein files, and she is putting forth the Voter ID Act, and she is trying to initiate all kinds of stuff for Congress to vote on and codify from Trump's electoral executive orders. But now we're all supposed to hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I was shocked. There's this dude named Cat Turd. And, usually he's really entertaining and really funny, but he's coming out like viral. He can't stand MTG. So I'm still watching what Cat Turd says, but anything he says about MTG, I just let it go in one ear and out the other. You're wrong about that, buddy. But that doesn't mean you're a complete idiot. You're not like that lady screaming on the hands and knees at the beginning of this video. I mean, you're not one of those people. So I'm still going to listen to what you got to say. I'm still going to listen to Tatum. And Candace has got something important to say. But anytime she brings up TPUSA, I'm going to flip to something else, because I don't like what she's doing there. We can't be dividing up the team here, Patriots. And that's what they've been trying desperately to do since Trump got back into office, really. Oh, am I stepping on Cam Higby's toes right now? Oh, sorry, Charlene. I don't know who Cam Higby is. I seen him now in a couple things. Rebecca had him on down at the metro station a month ago, and there's all that, man. You just can't not be stepping on somebody's toes, but I do like my freedom where I can come on whenever I want. I don't got sponsors. I don't got to say anything that I don't want to say. Everything I'm saying right now is coming directly from my mind to your mind, and I think it's beneficial. I'm not going to split us up. I don't want to badmouth people, and I think that's how we should play it, man. Oh, the black conservative preacher. He's a good guy too, man. I'm seeing a lot of the streamers. While I was watching Portland the other night, there was another guy, the Black Rebel or something, came in. And I remembered him from the People's Convoy, man. Okay. Another Tucker Carlson episode. He had a guy named Dane Whittington on. And they were talking about chemtrails, all right? Now, I've been listening to Dane Whittington for 15 years, man. The dude was right on about these chemtrails 15 years ago. They have gotten worse since then. When the chemtrails come out, they cover the sky with clouds, and it's weird. So I thought that was a valid episode to watch. Dane Whittington is a little kooky, but he's been studying this for a long time, and apparently he's got some money behind him where they are actually performing scientific experiments by following one of these planes emitting chemtrails and getting air samples. And, he's studying it in a scientific manner, and he's got some evidence, man. One of the best pieces of evidence that he had in that episode that I did not know about was he brought up the fact that when COVID came out, right? You remember we were watching videos of people in China falling over, face planting on the street and they were telling us, oh, that guy got COVID and it's coming to America, so you better mask up. And we took 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? That's how they sold it to us. They showed us these videos of people face planting on the streets of China. Well, Dane Whittington brought up the fact that when COVID came out, there were 85 countries on the planet that got COVID within 3 days, okay? And that does not follow any type of a natural spread to any disease, where 85 countries in 3 days, where a COVID-like virus could spread to that many countries in that short amount of time. And he's claiming that some of that COVID was injected into the air using chemtrails. So I don't know if he's right, but that was the first time I heard that piece of information. And COVID did spread awful fast all over the world. You know, not New York was the only place, and Pennsylvania was the only place where they were making old people die in a plastic room and you couldn't hug your grandchildren before you died. I don't think that happened all over the world. That was special for Pennsylvania and New York to suffer through. But I thought that was a worthy interview there that Tucker did with Dane Whittington. We got the Democrats just screaming bloody murder about release the Epstein files. They must be released. Trump's not going to release them because he's in them. And just think about it. It's not true, because Joe Biden had the Epstein files for 4 years and they hated Trump. They wanted to shoot him. They wanted to throw him in jail for, 400 years, 93 felonies. So I don't know, man. Wow. Craft for him. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of the only Congress people that will admit chemtrails are true. Even though we can all go outside and see them, Congress doesn't seem to know they're happening. All right, and some of chat's talking about Charleston, South Carolina here. Or Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah, ICE is now doing raids down there. All right, crap for him. I mean, I got 29 some people watching me now. We're rolling up here. Right, Cinnabee. I like Candace, but I can't listen to her anymore for a while. It's going to take a while. And I think she's going to be eating crow pretty soon. Oh, crap for him. Thanks. Do you feel better now, Crafty? You're such a crafty. What else we got? So the Democrats are screaming, release the Epstein files. The day the government opened back up, Representative Tim Burchett put forth a motion that said, let's vote to release all the Epstein files. That day, he put it out there, right? Tim Burchett, another golden Maga representative, man. And the Democrats voted no. So the Democrats voted down releasing all the Epstein files. And the Democrats are hiding the Epstein files at this point, but at the same time, they're screaming that we're the ones, the Republicans are the ones not releasing them. So this is a lesson. Once again, it's another projection lesson for all the sleepyheads that watch TV all the time. Sooner or later, it's going to dawn on them that these people accuse you of exactly what they're doing, right? So while we were standing in Freedom Corner and these people were calling us insurrectionist pedophiles, you know, they're projecting. They're just projecting on us. You know, they were the anarchists. Insurrectionists don't want a government, right? They're the ones that called themselves anarchists, right? And then the pedophile word just kept slipping out of their mouth. You know, there was nothing about us that was pedophiles. You know, there was nothing there. But they just continuously kept saying it over and over, man. And I guess that made them feel better, because they were projecting it. That's how. So here we got another lesson in projection. Once the Epstein files do come out, and they will come out. They're out already, actually. And it turns out that Epstein hated Trump. He were mortal enemies, man. But last week, Democrats were telling us that Trump was buddy-buddy with Epstein and hanging out. They were friends, But now this week, we're finding out, oh, no. Trump helped in the prosecution of Epstein when he first got arrested. And the latest emails or text messages that came out have been released where Epstein was getting advice on was giving advice on how to get to Trump. They hated each other. Epstein hated Trump, man. So that's how ridiculous it is. And it's another lesson for people who might only be paying a little bit of attention to all this about what projection is, because projection is real. It's a real symptom of Trump derangement syndrome, man. What else do we got? All right, Tim Burchett. He's a golden guy. We got another Democrat wound up in the mortgage fraud. Line up, Eric Swalwell. You're the next mortgage fraud candidate from Congress. So now we got Letitia James on it. We got Pencil Neck, whatever his name, Pumpkinhead on it. We got Eric Swalwell on it. It's apparently a perk of Congress to be able to commit mortgage fraud once you get a position in Congress. They all look the other way. It's only kind of up to them to prosecute that, like on a recommendation. They have to narc on you to the DOJ in order to get you prosecuted. And nobody does it because they all work together and they're all doing it, man. So another crooked Democrat exposed. It's going to take months for that one to figure out. It's just one of many of his crimes. But I'll take it. It's a start, man. We got Comey on the rocks. We got John Bolton on the rocks. We got Letitia James on the rocks. And I'm satisfied. Things are way better. Prices are just as good as they were when Trump took office. They haven't gone up. When Biden was in office, everything was going up. Every time I went to the grocery store, it was another $5, another $5 every single time. And that's not been happening with Trump. Gas prices have come down a little bit. I would like them to come down a lot more. But he's got a lid on that. And I'm happy with the progress that Trump's team is making right now on America. Let's see what else. Trump does not stand alone. We stand with him. 77 million people that voted for Trump are standing behind him right now, regardless of what you hear from other people. They're screaming bloody murder, trying to get us to hate each other, but it ain't happening, okay? I think it's like a head fake. It's a joke. We don't hate Tucker Carlson. We don't hate Candace Owens. We don't hate Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's just crazy, man. Oh, something I forgot to say about Harmeet Dillon is for the Berkeley riots that just occurred at the TPUSA event, she is going to Berkeley personally to get to the bottom of what's going on. All right, and I see you all putting Tina Peters in here. Tina Peters, incredible miscarriage of justice is occurring in Colorado right now with Tina Peters. She has now been in prison for a year. Tina Peters is a great-grandmother. She's a Gold Star mother. She had a son die in the military. Tina Peters is a cancer survivor. She has had half of one of her lungs removed before she even went to prison. And she is also the one that totally blew the whistle and came forward with the facts, with the receipts that certain areas in Colorado were rigging their elections with the machines, man. She had the proof of it all. And instead of correcting the fraud that was going on in their elections, she presented that evidence or tried to present it in courts, and then the courts came after her with a warfare like never before. That was the state of Colorado coming after Tina Peters. A lot of people were going, why can't Trump just give Tina Peters a pardon? And the reason for that is that Trump can only pardon federal crimes. And the crimes that Tina is being accused of and convicted of are state crimes. So Ed Martin, who is another outstanding attorney, he's in charge of pardons in the Trump cabinet right now, is working on the Tina Peters thing. And Trump has recently posted about Tina on his True Social. It was a while ago, though. It wasn't just recently. 2 or 3 weeks ago, he has posted about Tina Peters. He has punished Colorado by taking the Space Force headquarters out of Colorado and placing it in, I think, Missouri or Oklahoma. I can't remember what. So there's an ongoing battle there with the state of Colorado. So any chance you got to not show support for the state of Colorado would go a long way. And if they want to know, tell them, well, you tried to take Trump off the vote or off the ticket, and you got Tina Peters in prison, man. Oh, right on. Hey, General, good to see you, man. Good work out in Pittsburgh, Maga Warriors. I am so jealous. Maybe one day I'll get something like that going on here, though, or get out to visit you guys. Another Trump team superstar is Secretary Sean Duffy. Apparently, California has issued, I think they said, 65 commercial driver's licenses to people who don't even speak English, people who can't even really read an American highway sign. And Sean Duffy just went in and pulled 17,000 commercial driver's licenses from illegals that were in California, man. It's a crying shame that these people were even getting commercial driver's licenses, but that's the battle we're in right now, man. There are openly communist states in this country right now. California is one of them. They're just burning up our money there. And then anytime something ain't going right, they just pull the Epstein hoax out like they did just recently again, man. All right, Lee Sorensen, you sound like you're activated out in Michigan. That's great. Yeah. Oh, man. Good to see you there, Lee Sorensen, Patriot from all the way back, I remember. Right, so that was Secretary Sean Duffy. I think he's a transportation. He's got the job that Buttigieg had. I think he's also the guy that's rewiring all the air traffic control towers out here. And because we're going to have to do that again after Pete Buttigieg tried to put Band-Aids on everything, on that whole system. And now all that's outdated, and they got to rewire them. They got to update all. It's costing us billions of dollars. The FJB administration is still costing the American people billions and billions of dollars, man. The city of Seattle. All right, so we got this Mamdani in New York was just elected. He's an open socialist, but he's actually a communist. And the city of Seattle now has just elected a communist mayor. So this battle is real, Patriots, and that's what I'm saying. We got one chance at this. Trump is our one chance. MAGA is the one chance we got to getting our country back. It has gotten to this point. This is the period now where we have to activate, right? Somebody sent me a new documentary on the People's Convoy. Jay Jones. He sent me a link to a documentary that's on the internet somewhere. I can't figure out how to link it into here, but it's relatively well done. But what I remember and what this documentary shows is the tens of thousands of people that have backed up the convoy when it was going through there. Not only were like 1,000 truckers in on that and people in their cars, there was tens of thousands of people lining the streets as we drove through those areas, man. And I know those people are all still out there. And those are the people we're fighting for, man. Those are the people that can't do anything. Okay. Those are the people that are that got families. They can't be out here fighting for this. They don't got any way of doing this. All they do is vote, and that's the people we're fighting for, man. Yeah, right, Denise. We got 43 Muslims were elected into office nationwide. So, and that's another thing. And check out the thumbnail for this video. That should be pretty interesting. In fact, here, I'll just put it up here right now. And I think we'll just close it out with this right now. I don't even know if we're allowed to talk about this. I mean, I think we are now, but if things change in the future, this is the kind of thing that'll get you 10 years in prison. This will get you 10 years in prison in England right now. So thanks for tuning in, Patriots. That's all I got to say right now. I think now's the time we just hunker down and watch the team play the game and be ready to jump in and, you know, work our local crowds. Try to keep things moving in the right direction. And I think they are. I think they are, man. Cinnabee, it's a real problem, man. It's a real problem. All right, so thank you all, Patriots, for tuning in. This is Jericho, over and out.